Hey guys, it's Rob with a new video. It's not the main video, of course, because that one's complicated and taking some time, and which I wanted to tell Ann that I'm still working on that video, and I will have it out hopefully soon. But in the meantime, I found some really great, amazing stuff, and also I wanted to confront one of my trolls again. And prove him wrong once and for all, and let that be the end of it. So let's get started. I got a lot to show you. Here's the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, responsible for seafloor spreading, continental drift, and magnetic striping, which is misinterpreted data. I'd like to point out something here between these two continents. They believe that these two continents were attached at one time at the coastline, but you could look at them and you could see that there are differences between them, and according to them, it's because of erosion, because they claim that it took millions of years for these areas to move this far apart, and they're really not even that far apart from each other. But what if I was to show you that I could match areas from the North and the South Pole region that are much further apart and have no seafloor spreading taking place between them, and yet they match even better than these two continents right here, and they're more than triple the distance away from each other? Well, that would actually be observable evidence that doesn't support plate tectonics, and that means plate tectonics is wrong and needs to be thrown out. It doesn't matter what GrasponReality believes or thinks or his opinion. That's just a fact. You can't have observable evidence that doesn't support a theory, because the theory cannot be good. And why would you hold on to some theory that it's obviously wrong? Well, let me just show you my evidence and how well it matches compared to their match. So I want to start by showing you this area right here that kind of looks like a bulge shaped like a football with this kind of squared end on it. And then you have, of course, this X-shaped pattern, which obviously can mean one thing. But you want to follow this trail up to this area right here, and you'll notice that there's something very similar about this and that I just showed you. You can see that it's basically kind of shaped like a football with a squared end like below. Okay, here's those two areas. And before I throw one on top of the other, let's just take a good look at what we're looking at here so that we know what to look for when I do. Alright, so right away I look for key alignments, and I can see that this bow right here is going to match with this one right here. So that's what I'm going to shoot for in the beginning here. I also noticed that the Mid-Atlantic Ridge kind of stops where this starts. Also, I noticed that you can see that how Africa comes around to a point here, and you can see a very similar feature right here, which would be a continental shelf right here. You may have noticed that these areas are spaced further apart from one another than the other overlay, and that could be simply because the Earth has increased in size since these were pushed apart from each other. Because after all, that's what I'm claiming happened. That's how these recurring patterns are created, because they are pulled away from each other from the growth of the planet. And GrasponReality, you can consider that one of the mechanisms. I'm going to pull this in. There's more stuff going on here than you can see actually, and it will take several overlays to actually show you what's really going on with the planet, and it's mind-blowing. It really is. It's nothing what they think, and it's frustrating because I really want to get it out. But let me just show you here. I said that I would align this with this. take a step back, and when I do, you can see that there are alignments here. You just have to move it around a little bit because these are moving through. These are like snapshots, still shots of a process that's in movement. This solidified as it was moving. Also, keep in mind that what makes my model actually more sophisticated than plate tectonics is that in order to show you this area, I have to take other overlays of different areas and match them up to complete the story here. So you got to take that into consideration, because I'm going to end up moving on to a different part of the planet so I can deal with GrasponReality, but I have to come back and show you this area matched up with other overlays to complete the whole story that it gives way more information than plate tectonics can with any of their data. And in order to really appreciate what I've discovered, you have to take in all the overlays of this area to see the whole picture. First of all, I could just come in here like this. You can see that alignments are starting up here, even though it's curved because of the curvature of our planet. You can start to see features playing into one another, especially over here as I line that up with that. Now, if you've ever seen the alignments between Africa and South America with the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, they look nothing alike. They look there's too many gaps, and that's at that distance. Now, but look at what I can show you with my alignments based upon what I claim is happening. You can see that there's what looks like to be an arrow pointing this way. It's pointing to where there's no seafloor spreading is what it's doing. You can see that there's Iceland here. I can show you that Iceland is responsible for the features found on the opposite side of the planet. And that's because they sat on top of one another and they imprinted their images into the other as one was moving away. And it's that simple. It really is simple to understand this and see what I'm talking about. And it's, to be honest, it can't be debunked. It really can't. You know, I got a troll in my channel that just spouts off a bunch of stuff one after the other, praying that nobody actually analyzes what he says, because none of what he says is actually relevant. It's just nothing but trying to confuse people into believing he's somehow correct. And under scrutiny, that dude will fall apart so quick, unlike these alignments. And seriously, do things really have to be overly complicated for anybody to believe it? Things can be simple. Because the truth is simple. Deception's complicated, and that's what this guy is trying to be, complicated. And what's interesting is these lines that run across. Because if you pay attention, you'll see that they actually play off of the features underneath. And this just takes a little bit to get used to, even for me, actually, believe it or not. It looks like rotation is ordered here actually a little bit, but I think I can still pull this off without it. Look at right here. You could tell that just looking at this, it's just so simple to see that this is the result of something sat here and swiveled back and forth, rotated or swiveled, one or the other. It just obvious looks like that. And then there are other features around this planet that will also line over this area. This is not the only thing that was affected. So I just want to point that out, that there are actually alignments that are even better because they're closer to one another actually. But look at we can tell that this is something. Of course, my troll is not going to be able to see any of this because he knows what that means. But that's okay. I have a lot more alignments. These are just the ones warming us up, actually. This gets better and better. And you can see that right here with the marks and all. You can see how they play into one another. As I pull this up, you can see that this is going to line up right in there. You're going to see that as I pull it through, that this obvious island right here is going to match other reoccurring islands and marks, because that's how these patterns work. And if you don't believe me, you just look around some. You can tell they realign again over and over again because they're reoccurring patterns. You can see that they're related to many things, including Iceland. The thing about science is that theories and data can be looked in multiple ways. And one of the things that they claim, they think, actually, I'll be honest with you, everything that plate tectonics claims supports it, their data will actually reinforce what I'm claiming better. I know this for a fact. Even stuff like magnetic striping that they find down the mid-Atlantic ridge, that magnetic striping can be interpreted so many different ways. And of course, they're not going to tell you the other interpretations of their data. They're only going to tell you what supports their beliefs. And that's the fact of this. This is why my troll cannot beat me, because everything he claims, well, I can just turn it around and use it in a different way, and it will support what I'm claiming even better. Like, you know, he comes up with stuff like fossilized coral on top of the Grand Canyon prove that I'm wrong. Oh, no, it doesn't. It actually proves I'm right, because I'm claiming that there's reoccurring cataclysms that are related to the creation of the planet. And they're doing the same thing. They're adding material. It started with nothing and then put material there, and then every, like, I don't know, every so often it adds more material somehow to our planet. It doesn't matter whether I know how it does it or not. It just does it. I can see it in the features here. But anyways, before I get too crazy here, there's a lot more alignments and there's a lot of other things I need to show you about this area. But I have a troll to take care of. And what I want to point out is that if you look at South America, you can see how it's sitting on top of North America when it's lined up here. What I want to do is I want to focus on this area for a little bit and discredit my troll's claims and prove mine right here in front of everybody with simple overlays. So let's go, and I'm going to roll this area over so it's centered. While I'm here, I want to also confront an issue here. I did a video where I showed this area right here matching up with the basin area here, all the way inside up to the Grand Canyon. My numbnut troll claims that proves that plate tectonics is accurate. But in reality, what it does prove is this guy really has limited knowledge on plate tectonics, because anybody would know this. I want you to explain to me how this has been moved down there from plate tectonics when it's sitting right in front of a subduction zone. And two, how come it goes all the way in and matches the Grand Canyon? Tell me how plate tectonics crosses this feature over these plate boundaries. What a douchebag. Oh my god, I've never, you know, I think I hate this guy more than anything for the simple fact that he uses science to cover for his ignorance. What I'd like to point out though is that when you look at this, right here, it actually tells you how that got over there. You just simply follow the line, and then look, you got one over here. All these lines right here mean that this is connected with these features, including the California basin. Same thing with these lines too. Everywhere where those lines touch means that that was sitting there at one time. It does. It mean you could say that all these lines mean that this actually moved and it was spinning over this area, these areas. And that's just the way it is. Try to prove that that's not the case. GrasponReality. Okay, this is the part of the video that I claim will be interesting to the Electric Universe people. This also will discredit my troll. And by the way, after this video, I just want to let him know that I'm done with him. I could care less. None of his accusations, none of his claims matter to me because of his ignorance. I really don't have any respect for his opinion. I just want to go over briefly what he says about my claims. I claim that the Amazon River is an electrical discharge pattern that is related to the creation of our planet. I also claim that the base charge of the Amazon River is actually the Grand Canyon. I also claim that the Grand Canyon is responsible for the California basin, like a sweeping discharge. Here's the Grand Canyon, here's the California basin, here's Yellowstone Park. I also claim that these are all related to Yellowstone Park. And everything on this planet is related to Birkeland currents. And I'm going to prove all of that right here for you with these overlays. Because everything that I said, if I was wrong, none of this stuff would ever line up. There's no reason for anything that I'm going to show you to line up unless what I'm telling you is the truth. And it proves that my judgment and my perception of this planet is much more accurate than GrasponReality's, because he's going by someone else's understanding. It's not even his own. But this is my own. And I'm going to prove that it's actually more accurate than his. Okay, first of all, I'm going to line this up the way it was over on the other overlay. So because of things that match up over here, I can link this area together. So there's a lot going on here in probability. When you think about it, what is the probability that I could line stuff over here and then see stuff over here line up and then come over here and actually see that these areas are related? Plate tectonics, there's no spreading going on between these continents. There's really no reason why South America should be sitting on top of North America, according to plate tectonics, because these are crossing plate boundaries and defying everything that plate tectonics claims is happening. Okay, first of all, let me just show you something about our Amazon River. GrasponReality claims that this river is made by gravity and water erosion. I claim that this is not made by neither of those. This is actually an electrical discharge pattern that a rainforest happened to sit upon and fill up with water. This is a common feature around our planet that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of the large river systems that you see are actually related to the Amazon River. And that, I can tell you, is a fact, whether GrasponReality believes it or not. Let me just show you what gravity-driven, water-eroded rivers shouldn't be doing. They shouldn't be lining with features on other continents because they're random. The closer you get, the more alignments you're going to see. You're going to see this line up better and better the closer you get. You can see that you have a round circular feature right here. Round circular features are usually the result of rotation. So you could say that the Amazon River, this is showing that this must have rotated. So this is what I'm just starting off with. The other things before I start messing with that is that I can see that there are alignments that need to be rotated. There's a feature on South America that used to really trip me out, and it was these dots right here. These circular patterns right here, and I could tell you that they're related to this right here, because not only was this rotating, it's moving at the same time. That's what these markings show, and you can then go ahead and reline them up and rotate this and see what the heck was going on back then. I claim that this Amazon River is a discharge pattern and is responsible for creating the surface features of our planet. One way to prove that would be to line it up and see. Because a gravity-fed, eroded river is not going to match other features from other continents. You can already see that I'm matching very easily, without effort actually. Let me dim this out. I want to point out that in no way am I struggling to make these alignments. They just line up. It's just that easy, because that's how the truth works. Now let's try some rotation. The interesting thing about this discharge pattern is that I know it's related to a vortex. And vortexes like to rotate. So what I want to do is simply rotate the discharge pattern here. And when I do, you can see that it lines up again. Like a vortex would. It lines up with the under the greatest scrutiny. I can guarantee you that, because as this goes in, you can see the alignment with that. See, what GrasponReality doesn't understand is that every one of these peaks is related to this, because this is responsible for the creation of our planet. This is part of the process. So it's going to match each one of these mountains. They think that what the beauty of this is that in plate tectonics, they're based upon randomness and disorder. What I'm showing you is electromagnetism, and electromagnetism's it likes to order things. It makes things, or pictures, sound waves make images when they vibrate sand particles. They just organize things in ways that almost seems lifelike. And you could tell that this is going to match these peaks, these circular features, including Yellowstone Park. But there'll be more on that. California Basin. What are the odds that this would just simply fit in here without effort? But it gets better, because I made a claim that the Grand Canyon was the base discharge for the Amazon River. GrasponReality claims that that is just nonsense, and there's no way I could prove such a thing. Well, let's take a look. Okay, this is a big one. This is my evidence that GrasponReality is wrong and that I'm right. I claim that the Amazon discharge pattern has a base charge pattern that's the Grand Canyon. And if that's true, well, these will line up with everything. If it's not true, there's no way I could coincidentally actually line these up by accident. There's just no way that that's possible in the probabilities of them lining up if they aren't related. But let me just show you something that's amazing. This is the Grand Canyon right here. This is the Amazon discharge pattern, and here's the base of it. I claim that the Grand Canyon is simply the base charge of the Amazon River. So I line it up as if it was an extension of the Grand Canyon. Canyon walls don't matter to me. A fossilized coral means absolute dick to me. It has nothing to do with anything that I claim. But what I do claim is that these are part of the same discharge. And when you look down here, you can see that I line up in ways that would be impossible to be a coincidence. Let that sink in, GrasponReality, because even under the tightest scrutiny, you'll see that the Grand Canyon comes out and you can see this fits right onto it. Perfect. You can see that this is actually a sweeping discharge. And you could tell because when you look at this part of North America, it looks like a windshield wiper. I would also like to add really quickly here, the shape and pattern of these features here are like a number 6, which reminds me of rotation or spiraling. Like a windshield wiper just swept that dry. Here's our windshield wiper right here. It's an electromagnetic one. But the cool thing about it, when it lines up here and then lines the features, which water eroded rivers should never do, you can also take a look here and see alignments with the Gulf of Mexico that further prove that these are aligned. Look at how it hits and goes around. You can see little round circles here on the features below, and you can see this pattern right here. Look how these discharges kind of feed across and hit certain spots. You got a bunch of bumps right here. I'll have to get really close-up shots, but you can see the electrical discharges patterns that line up with it. Why would water erosion do any of this? Oh, look at this. Look at these dots here. I have no idea what those are. They're probably, who knows. But for some reason, something has collected in these areas and made them stand out. And you can see that you can tell that they're related. So, it's obvious that GrasponReality's lost this debate, because not only is everything lining up just the way I claim they would, but there's only one reason why they would line up at all, and that's because electromagnetism made our planet not gravity, and I can prove that all day long. This guy's just too dumb to know that. Anyways, I told you that this is a sweeping discharge. Here's the other thing though, I'm going to really show you something. This sweeping discharge is related to actually Birkeland currents, which I'll show you too in a little bit. But look at how it's lining up with this mess right here underneath. Look at, I mean, haven't you ever wondered what made these patterns right here? Well, it's obviously electrical, and here are the overlays that match them. Now, I wanted to show you that this sweeps. You can see there's Yellowstone Park right here. I'm going to put this back with the Grand Canyon like this and sweep it. Okay, I want to show you that you could see that this matches the features of the Gulf of Mexico, and some of these features are claimed to be the result of a meteor impact that supposedly killed the dinosaurs off 65 million years ago. But I find that hard to believe because look at how good this matches up. But this is the rock star of the whole thing right here, these mountains right here. I just kind of want to move things around and see what else is going on here. God, I'm so tired. Look at how this just wraps around. I want to point out something though before I sweep this around. If you take a look, you'll see these marks. These look like burn marks from high voltage. You can see blistering. And you can see that they're tied together here with Yellowstone Park and the Grand Canyon. And you could say that these are areas where the discharge has been. So here we go with, I gotta line it up first. I'm getting really tired, by the way. This takes so much out of me. It's not even funny. Oh God. Okay, so here we go. And there you go. The Amazon River connecting the Grand Canyon to Yellowstone Park. You lose grasp on reality. Look at the match. Look at how you could see. It just doesn't get any better than that. Here's the California Basin. Look at that match right there. There's only one way that this would match like this, and that's if it's responsible for creating it. reason it lines up with this is because this also belongs right here. These are all the same thing. These are reoccurring patterns of one another. Like I claim this swept through. See how it continually matches over and over again? And it does, no matter who does it. Yellowstone Park again. Yep, you guessed it, these are related also. This area right here, in electrical, this looks like what we would call a switch gear. And it lines up too with these features. But what would be a good one here? I'm so tired right now. Okay, I showed you the electrical discharge pattern. Now let me show you the Birkeland currents. Now this is the real reason these align. These are images of Birkeland currents, and I've said this before. The way you can tell is because these so-called mountains are wrapping over one another. Hold on, let me get a better shot. The reason I claim that these are Birkeland currents is because these mountains right here go over and under one another. And GrasponReality, I can guarantee you cannot explain why this would happen in plate tectonics. That's a promise. In geology and plate tectonics, mountains are made by volcanoes. They're made by plate collisions, supposedly. And then they're also igneous intrusion. Nowhere in plate tectonics can they explain why a mountain range would wrap around one another, except for in the electric universe theory, Birkeland currents do that. And Birkeland currents are responsible for the sun, according to the electric universe theory. But NASA and GrasponReality believe that the sun is a nuclear explosion that just keeps blowing up for billions of years. It makes absolutely no sense. It's not the behavior of a nuclear explosion. But there's so much more here. Let me just show you, though, the magic of these Birkeland currents and how I claim and prove that they are the reason of the features that are all around the planet. Okay, so I'm going to bring this in. Here goes our Amazon discharge pattern. These are related. So if these are related, then this is related to everything else. And I just want to show you some things that line up. It just feels natural when I pull this in. It's really effortless. You can see that this Birkeland currents replace features that are missing. They fill them in. Mountains aren't supposed to do that. Mountains aren't usually smooth either. That's the other thing, is you don't see any mountains anywhere on this planet that look anything even close to this. You go look at the Rocky Mountains, you'll see a huge difference. These mountains look like filaments because they're smooth and they're round. And the fact that they wrap around each other like rope is a dead giveaway of what they are. And I just showed you how this fills in that. And then if I bring this over here, you can see how it fills in the California basin. Perfectly. Boy, am I getting tired. Ugh. Over and over again. Look. Lake Tahoe. You can see this fits into here. Look at this. Hold on, this is really hard to see right now. The more tired I get, the harder this is to explain. But you can see that not only did this wrap around here, but this was wrapped around by this peninsula. You can see the little notches. Yellowstone Park. Is an electrical discharge. It's not a super volcano. It has to do more with the very creation of the planet, actually, the beginning. And it's actually the process of rotation. Look at the similarities between the features here. Even this looks like a mirror of this. Remember this little notch right here? What are the odds? Oh man, am I tired. Darn, I really wanted to show you guys more. This gets even better. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I'm claiming a victory over GrasponReality by proving my theory with observations. And I'm going to say straight up that GrasponReality, there's no way you can debunk what I just showed you. There's no way that you're right. I've overwhelmingly proved that you're wrong. But I want to let everybody know that you actually haven't seen nothing yet. This is going to get even more intense with the other new discoveries and old ones, in which I'm currently making a video about. Thanks for watching. I can't keep my eyes open anymore. Oh, one last thing. GrasponReality, I have no respect for your opinion. You can spout off as much science as you want. It doesn't impress me, and I don't think you're very smart, man. And I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't comment on my channel anymore, because it's pointless. You lost. Thanks for watching.